precious child. Come close to me now. Put aside every distraction, every worry, every fear that has been gripping your heart as you watch the news, as you see the floods rising, the fires spreading, the earth shaking beneath the feet of humanity. I need you to hear me with every fiber of your being tonight. What I am about to reveal to you will change how you see every crisis, every disaster, every moment of chaos that surrounds you. This is not just another message. This is heaven's emergency manual for the times you are living in. Listen to the sound of my voice, speaking directly to your spirit. Feel my presence surrounding you like a fortress of peace in the midst of the storm. Tonight, I am pulling back the veil between heaven and earth to show you truths that have been hidden from the foundation of the world. You have been watching the news with trembling hands. You have seen the images of homes swept away by floods, families running from wildfires, communities destroyed in moments. Your heart has been heavy with questions that pierce your soul like arrows. Where is God in all of this? Why do innocent people suffer? How can I protect my family when the very ground beneath us seems unstable? Tonight, I answer every question. Tonight, I reveal the divine strategy that will not only protect you, but transform how you walk through every crisis for the rest of your life. I see you lying awake at night, your mind racing with scenarios of what could happen to your loved ones. I see you checking weather reports obsessively, creating emergency plans, storing supplies, trying to control what feels completely out of control. I see the anxiety building in your chest, like a storm cloud, threatening to overwhelm your peace. But what if I told you that every disaster, every crisis, every moment of chaos is actually a divine appointment? What if I told you that hidden within every catastrophe is a message from heaven, a call to awakening, a doorway to supernatural protection that most people never discover? Tonight, you will discover the secret that transforms victims into victors, the revelation that turns chaos into opportunity, the divine strategy that creates supernatural safety in the most dangerous times. You are not here by accident. The fact that you are listening to these words right now, in this moment, is part of my divine plan for your life. I have been preparing you for this message. I have been positioning you to receive this revelation that will become your lifeline in the storms ahead. Feel my love surrounding you like a warm embrace. Feel my power flowing through these words, awakening something deep within your spirit. Tonight, everything changes. Tonight, you receive heaven's emergency manual for supernatural protection. My beloved child, I see you, and I see the weight of fear that has been crushing your spirit as you witness the chaos unfolding around our world. I see you when you turn on the news and your heart immediately begins to race. The images of destruction flood your mind. Homes underwater, families separated by rising waters, entire communities reduced to ash and ember. Your hands shake as you reach for the remote, wanting to turn it off, but unable to look away. You feel helpless, small, insignificant in the face of such overwhelming natural power. I see you when you lie in bed at night, listening to every sound outside your window. Was that thunder in the distance? Is that wind getting stronger? Your mind creates scenarios of disaster that haven't even happened yet. You check your phone repeatedly for weather alerts, emergency notifications, any sign that danger might be approaching your doorstep. Sleep becomes elusive because your nervous system is constantly on high alert. I see you when you look at your children, your spouse, your aging parents, and feel the crushing weight of responsibility. How can you protect them when the very earth seems unstable? How can you promise them safety when you watch other families just like yours losing everything in a matter of hours? The maternal or paternal instinct to shield your loved ones from harm collides with the reality that some forces seem beyond human control. I see you when you drive through your neighborhood and start calculating escape routes. Which roads would flood first? Where would you go if you had to evacuate? You find yourself studying your neighbors' houses, wondering if they have emergency plans, if they would help or compete for resources in a crisis. The sense of community you once felt has been replaced by a subtle undercurrent of survival anxiety. I see you when you go to the grocery store and your eyes linger on the emergency supplies. You debate whether to buy extra water, batteries, non-perishable food. Part of you feels foolish for preparing for disasters that may never come. But another part of you feels foolish for not preparing enough. You walk a tightrope between reasonable preparation and paralyzing fear. I see you when you scroll through social media and see the stories of loss, the GoFundMe campaigns for disaster victims, the before and after photos of communities destroyed. Your heart breaks for strangers who have lost everything. But underneath that compassion is a cold fear that whispers, "This could be me. This could be my family. This could be my home." I see you when you try to pray, but find yourself bargaining with me instead of trusting me. God, please don't let anything happen to us. God, please make the storms go around our city. God, please let us be spared. Your prayers become negotiations born from fear rather than declarations born from faith. I see you when you watch your children playing, carefree and innocent, and feel the weight of knowledge they don't yet carry. How do you explain to them that the world can be dangerous? How do you prepare them without stealing their sense of security? How do you balance protection with peace? I see you when you look at your financial situation and realize that one disaster could wipe out everything you've worked for. Insurance policies become bedtime reading as you try to understand what would and wouldn't be covered. You calculate how long your savings would last if you had to rebuild, relocate, or recover from catastrophic loss. I see you when you feel guilty for living in relative safety while others suffer. Survivor's guilt haunts you even when you haven't survived anything yet. You wonder why some people seem to escape disaster while others lose everything. The randomness of it all challenges your faith in divine justice and protection. I see you when you try to make sense of a God who is supposed to be loving and all-powerful, yet allows such devastation to occur. Your theology struggles to reconcile the image of a caring father with the reality of natural disasters that seem to strike without discrimination. You wonder if God is angry, if humanity is being punished, if the end times are upon us. I see you when you feel overwhelmed by the sheer scale of global crisis, climate change, natural disasters, political instability, economic uncertainty. It all feels too big, too complex, too far beyond your control. You oscillate between wanting to stay informed and wanting to hide from the overwhelming nature of world events. But tonight, my precious child, I want you to know that I see all of this, and I have answers. I have solutions. I have a divine strategy that will transform every fear into faith, every crisis into opportunity, every disaster into a doorway to supernatural protection. My beloved child, now let me show you what I see from my throne in heaven. Let me reveal to you the divine perspective that will transform how you understand every crisis, every disaster, every moment of chaos that touches the earth. From my eternal vantage point, I see what you cannot see. I see the beginning and the end simultaneously. I see how every storm, every flood, every fire fits into a divine tapestry that is far more beautiful and purposeful than your human eyes can perceive in this moment. Throughout history, I have used what appears to be chaos to accomplish my greatest purposes. When the floods came in Noah's time, humanity saw destruction, but I saw purification. I saw a new beginning. I saw the preservation of righteousness in the midst of corruption. The very waters that destroyed the wicked became the vehicle of salvation for those who trusted in my plan. When the plagues came upon Egypt, Pharaoh saw disaster, but I saw deliverance. Each plague was not random destruction, but a precise instrument of liberation. The very forces that brought judgment upon oppression became the pathway to freedom for my people. What looked like chaos was actually divine strategy, unfolding with perfect timing and purpose. When the walls of Jericho fell, the inhabitants saw catastrophe, but I saw conquest. The earthquake that brought down those walls was not a natural disaster, but a supernatural intervention. The ground that shook beneath their feet was responding to the shouts of my people who had learned to trust in my power rather than in human fortifications. When the earth shook and the rocks split at the crucifixion, observers saw a natural response to unnatural darkness, but I saw the moment when heaven and earth were being reconciled. The very creation was responding to the cosmic shift that was taking place as my Son paid the price for humanity's redemption. Listen carefully to what I am revealing to you. Every natural disaster, every crisis, every moment of chaos is actually the earth responding to spiritual realities that are far deeper than what appears on the surface. The physical realm is always reflecting what is happening in the spiritual realm. When you see floods, I see cleansing. When you see fires, I see purification. When you see earthquakes, I see foundations being shaken so that only what is truly solid can remain. When you see storms, I see the atmosphere being cleared for new seasons of blessing. But here is the key that most people miss. Your response to these crises determines whether you experience them as judgment or as opportunity. Your faith or fear in the midst of disaster determines whether you become a victim or a victor. I remember when my servant Job faced catastrophic loss. From a human perspective, he lost everything: his wealth, his health, his children, his security. But from my perspective, Job was about to receive double for his trouble. The very trials that seemed to destroy him were actually positioning him for the greatest blessing of his life. I remember when my people stood at the edge of the Red Sea, with Pharaoh's army behind them and impossible waters before them. From their perspective, they were trapped with no way out. But from my perspective, I was about to demonstrate my power in a way that would be remembered for generations. The very obstacle that seemed insurmountable became the stage for supernatural deliverance. I remember when Daniel was thrown into the lion's den. From the king's perspective, Daniel was facing certain death. But from my perspective, Daniel was about to experience my protection in a way that would influence an entire kingdom. The very place of danger became the place of divine demonstration. Here is what I want you to understand about the disasters and crises you are witnessing. They are not random acts of nature. They are not signs that I have abandoned the earth. They are not evidence that evil is winning. They are birth pangs of a new era that is coming, just as a woman in labor experiences intense pain before the joy of new life. The earth is experiencing intense shaking before the manifestation of my kingdom in ways that have never been seen before. The very disasters that cause fear in the hearts of unbelievers are actually signs of hope for those who understand my purposes. Every flood is washing away what needs to be removed so that new growth can emerge. Every fire is burning away what is temporal so that what is eternal can be revealed. Every earthquake is shaking loose what is unstable so that what is truly solid can be established. But here is the most important truth I want you to grasp. You do not have to be a victim of these circumstances. You do not have to live in fear of what might happen. You do not have to feel helpless in the face of natural forces. I have given you authority over every storm, every disaster, every crisis that could potentially touch your life. I have equipped you with spiritual weapons that are more powerful than any natural force. I have provided you with supernatural protection that is available to every person who learns to operate in faith rather than fear. The same power that spoke the worlds into existence lives within you. The same authority that calmed the storms on the Sea of Galilee has been given to you. The same protection that preserved Noah's family through the flood is available to your family today. But you must learn to see from my perspective. You must learn to respond from faith rather than fear. You must learn to operate in the supernatural rather than being limited by the natural. Tonight, I am about to teach you how to access this divine protection. Tonight, I am about to reveal to you the secrets that will transform you from a victim of circumstances into a master of your environment through my power working in you, my precious child. Now, I will reveal to you the 7 divine principles that will give you supernatural protection in every crisis, every disaster, every moment of chaos that could ever touch your life. First divine principle: the power of divine positioning. I want you to understand that your physical location is not as important as your spiritual position. Many people think that safety comes from living in the right place, away from fault lines, flood zones, or fire-prone areas. But I tell you that supernatural protection comes from being in the right relationship with me. When my people were in Egypt during the plagues, they were in the same geographic location as the Egyptians, but they were in a different spiritual position. The same storms that brought judgment upon Egypt brought deliverance to my people. The difference was not their zip code. It was their covenant with me. Your spiritual position determines your level of protection. When you are positioned in faith rather than fear, in trust rather than anxiety, in my presence rather than in your own strength, you create a spiritual atmosphere around you that natural disasters cannot penetrate. This is why I tell you to dwell in the secret place of the Most High. This is not a physical location. It is a spiritual position. When you learn to live in constant communion with me, when you make my presence your dwelling place, you carry supernatural protection with you. Wherever you go, I have seen my people walk through fires without being burned, survive floods without drowning, stand in earthquakes without falling, because they understood that their safety came from their position in me, not from their position on the map. Second divine principle, the authority of spoken faith. I have given you the same authority that I gave to my son Jesus when he spoke to the storms and they obeyed him. Your words carry creative power when they are spoken in faith rather than fear. Most people speak their fears into existence. They say things like, "I'm so worried about the hurricane season," or "I just know something bad is going to happen," or "We're not safe anywhere anymore." These words are not just expressions of emotion. They are spiritual declarations that give permission for the very things they fear to manifest in their lives. But when you learn to speak my words instead of your fears, when you declare my promises instead of your problems, when you prophesy protection instead of predicting disaster, you create a spiritual force field around your life that repels every attack of the enemy. I want you to begin speaking these declarations over your life and family. No weapon formed against us shall prosper. We are covered by the blood of Jesus. We dwell in the secret place of the Most High. We are protected by angels. We are surrounded by divine favor. No disaster can touch us because we belong to the Lord. When you speak these words with faith, not just hope, but absolute conviction, you activate supernatural forces that work on your behalf. Your words become decrees from heaven that must be obeyed by every natural force. Third divine principle, the shield of supernatural awareness. I want to give you a gift that will protect you from every surprise attack of the enemy. I want to develop within you a supernatural sensitivity to my voice that will warn you of danger before it arrives. Throughout history, I have always warned my people before judgment came. I told Noah about the flood years before it happened. I told Lot to leave Sodom before the fire fell. I told my people in Jerusalem to flee before the Romans destroyed the city. I never allow my children to be caught off guard when they are walking in close relationship with me. This supernatural awareness is not paranoia or anxiety. It is divine intelligence. It is the ability to sense in your spirit when something is not right, when you need to change your plans, when you need to take precautions, when you need to pray with greater intensity. I will speak to you through dreams, through visions, through a sudden knowing in your spirit, through circumstances that seem to be coincidences, but are actually divine orchestrations. When you learn to recognize my voice, you will never be caught unprepared for any crisis. But this awareness only comes to those who spend time in my presence, who have learned to distinguish my voice from their own thoughts, who have developed spiritual sensitivity through prayer and meditation on my word. Fourth divine principle, the network of divine connections. I never intended for you to face crises alone. I have strategically placed people in your life who will become your network of protection, provision, and support during difficult times. But you must learn to recognize these divine connections and cultivate these relationships before the crisis comes. Look around you right now. Who are the people in your life who have resources you might need? Who has skills that could be valuable in an emergency? Who has property in different locations? Who has connections to services you might require? These aren't random relationships. They are divine appointments. I am also connecting you with people who will need your help during crises. You have resources, skills, knowledge, and connections that others will desperately need. When you learn to see yourself as part of my divine network, rather than as an isolated individual, you multiply your protection exponentially. Start building these relationships now. Reach out to neighbors. Connect with people in your community. Join groups where you can both give and receive support. Invest in relationships that will become lifelines during difficult times. Fifth divine principle, the provision of supernatural supply. I want to teach you about supernatural provision that goes beyond natural preparation. While wisdom dictates that you should have emergency supplies, I want you to understand that your ultimate provision comes from my unlimited resources, not from your limited storage. When my people were in the wilderness, I provided manna from heaven, water from rocks, and clothes that never wore out. When the widow's oil was about to run out, I multiplied it supernaturally. When 5,000 people needed to be fed, I multiplied 5 loaves and 2 fish. I am still the same God who provides supernaturally when natural resources are insufficient. But this provision flows to those who have learned to trust in my abundance rather than hoarding out of fear. I want you to prepare wisely, but I want you to trust supernaturally. I want you to have emergency supplies, but I want you to know that I can multiply whatever you have when the need arises. I want you to save money, but I want you to remember that I own the cattle on 1,000 hills. Sixth divine principle, the refuge of divine presence. There is a place in my presence where no disaster can reach you. This is not a physical location. It is a spiritual dimension that you can enter regardless of your circumstances. When the 3 Hebrew boys were thrown into the fiery furnace, they were physically in the flames, but spiritually, they were in my presence. The fire could not touch them because they were dwelling in the secret place of the Most High. When Daniel was in the lion's den, he was physically surrounded by hungry lions, but spiritually he was surrounded by my protection. The lions could not harm him because he was abiding in my presence. This divine refuge is available to you in every crisis. When you learn to enter into my presence through worship, through prayer, through meditation on my word, you create a spiritual sanctuary around yourself that no natural disaster can penetrate. Practice entering this place of refuge now, during peaceful times, so that you can access it instantly when crisis comes. Learn to worship your way into my presence. Learn to pray your way into my protection. Learn to meditate on my promises until they become more real to you than your circumstances. Seventh divine principle, the mission of divine purpose. Here is the most important truth I want you to understand. Every crisis is actually an opportunity for you to demonstrate my power and love to a world that desperately needs to see both. When disasters strike, people's hearts become tender. Their usual defenses come down. They become open to spiritual truth in ways they never were before. These are not just times of danger. They are times of divine opportunity. I have positioned you in this time and place, not just to survive disasters, but to be a light in the darkness for others who are afraid. I have given you these truths, not just for your own protection, but so that you can share them with others who need hope. When you understand that every crisis is actually a mission opportunity, you stop being a victim and become a victor. You stop running from disaster and start running toward people who need help. You stop focusing on what you might lose and start focusing on what others might gain through your faith. This shift in perspective transforms everything. Instead of asking, "How can I escape this crisis?" you start asking, "How can I serve others through this crisis?" Instead of wondering, "Why is this happening to me?" you start declaring, "This is happening for me, for my growth, for my testimony, for my opportunity to demonstrate God's power." My beloved child, now I will give you specific practical steps that you can implement immediately to activate supernatural protection in your life and the lives of your loved ones. Step 1. Create your divine protection declaration. Right now, I want you to write down a personal protection declaration that you will speak over yourself and your family every morning. This is not just positive thinking. This is spiritual warfare. Your words have power, and I want you to use that power to create a shield of protection around your life. Here is the framework I want you to use. Father God, I declare that your name and family members' names are covered by the blood of Jesus Christ. We dwell in the secret place of the Most High and abide under the shadow of the Almighty. No weapon formed against us shall prosper. We are surrounded by your angels. We are protected by your favor. No disaster can touch us because we belong to you. We are safe. We are secure. We are supernaturally protected in Jesus' name. Personalize this declaration with specific concerns you have. If you live in a flood-prone area, declare protection from floods. If you are in fire country, declare protection from fires. If earthquakes are a concern, declare that your house is built on the rock of Jesus Christ and cannot be shaken. Speak this declaration with absolute faith every morning before you leave your house. Teach your children to speak it. Make it a family ritual that creates a spiritual atmosphere of protection around your home. Step 2. Establish your divine early warning system. I want to teach you how to recognize my voice when I am warning you about potential dangers. This supernatural awareness will become your early warning system that alerts you before any crisis reaches your doorstep. Start by setting aside 10 minutes every morning for what I call Divine Intelligence Briefing. This is time spent in prayer, where you specifically ask me to reveal anything you need to know about the day ahead, the week ahead, the season ahead. During this time, pay attention to sudden thoughts that come to your mind, especially thoughts about changing plans, taking precautions, or checking on certain people. These are often my voice speaking to your spirit. Pay attention to dreams that seem unusually vivid or concerning. I often speak through dreams to warn my people of coming events. Keep a journal by your bed and write down any dreams that feel significant. Pay attention to repetitive themes in your life. If multiple people mention the same concern, if you keep seeing the same type of news story, if you keep feeling prompted to prepare for a specific type of emergency, these are often divine nudges to take action. Most importantly, pay attention to peace versus unrest in your spirit. When I am warning you about something, you will feel a disturbance in your peace. When I am giving you a green light, you will feel supernatural peace even in uncertain circumstances. Step 3. Build your divine connection network. I want you to intentionally build relationships with people who can provide mutual support during crisis situations. This is not about using people. This is about creating a community of believers who can help each other in times of need. Start by identifying 5 people in your immediate area who share your faith and values. These should be people you trust, people who have resources or skills that could be valuable in an emergency, people who would be willing to help you and whom you would be willing to help. Reach out to these people and suggest forming a crisis support group. This doesn't have to be formal or complicated. It can be as simple as exchanging contact information, sharing resources, and agreeing to check on each other during emergencies. Next, identify people in your life who live in different geographic areas. These are people who could provide temporary housing if you needed to evacuate, people who could receive your important documents or valuables for safekeeping, people who could help coordinate support from a distance. Also, identify people who have specific skills you might need: medical professionals, mechanics, contractors, people with generators or other emergency equipment, people with boats or 4-wheel drive vehicles, people with communication equipment. Create a contact list with all of these people and make sure everyone in your family has access to it. Update it regularly and maintain these relationships through regular contact, not just during emergencies. Step 4. Develop your supernatural provision strategy. While I want you to trust in my supernatural provision, I also want you to be wise in your natural preparation. The key is to prepare from faith, not from fear. Start by creating a 3-month supply of food, water, and essential supplies for your family. But as you do this, pray over every item you purchase. Ask me to multiply these supplies supernaturally if the need arises. Thank me in advance for providing everything you need. Set aside emergency funds. But don't stop there. I want you to also develop multiple streams of income so that if one source is disrupted by disaster, you have others to fall back on. Ask me to show you opportunities to create additional income streams. Learn practical skills that would be valuable during crisis situations: first aid, basic repair skills, food preservation, water purification, communication, navigation. But as you learn these skills, ask me to give you supernatural wisdom that goes beyond natural knowledge. Create important document backups and store them in multiple locations. But also ask me to give you supernatural favor with authorities and institutions if you ever need to replace important documents. Step 5. Practice your divine refuge techniques. I want you to learn how to enter into my presence so quickly and completely that you can access divine refuge instantly, regardless of your circumstances. Choose 3 worship songs that immediately connect you to my presence. Practice singing or listening to these songs until they become automatic pathways into my presence. In a crisis, you will be able to use these songs to quickly enter into the secret place of the Most High. Memorize 10 Bible verses about protection and provision. Practice reciting these verses until they become automatic responses to fear or anxiety. When crisis comes, these verses will be your spiritual weapons and your declarations of faith. Develop a 10-minute prayer routine that you can use to center yourself in my presence. This should include worship, declaration of my promises, and listening for my voice. Practice this routine daily so that it becomes second nature. Learn to practice the presence of God throughout your day. This means maintaining an ongoing conversation with me, acknowledging my presence in every situation, and consulting me before making decisions. When you live in constant communion with me, You're always in the divine refuge. Step 6. Activate your divine mission mindset. I want you to shift your perspective from survival to service. Instead of asking how you can escape disaster, start asking how you can help others through disaster. Identify specific ways you can serve others during crisis situations. This might include opening your home to displaced families, sharing your emergency supplies with neighbors, using your skills to help with recovery efforts, providing emotional and spiritual support to those who are afraid. Start serving others now, before crisis comes. Volunteer with disaster relief organizations. Help elderly neighbors with emergency preparedness. Share your knowledge about protection and provision with others. When you develop a servant's heart now, you will naturally respond with service when crisis comes. Create a crisis ministry plan for your family. This is a plan for how you will serve others during disasters. Include specific actions you will take, resources you will share, and ways you will demonstrate God's love to people who are afraid. Step 7. Establish your divine communication system. I want you to create multiple ways to stay connected with me and with your support network during crisis situations. Invest in emergency communication equipment, battery-powered radios, solar chargers for phones, satellite communicators if possible. But more importantly, learn to communicate with me through prayer and meditation, even when all other communication systems fail. Create a family communication plan that includes meeting places, contact information, and procedures for different types of emergencies, but also establish spiritual communication routines, family prayer times, scripture reading, worship sessions that will keep you connected to me and to each other. Learn to recognize my voice in the midst of chaos. Practice hearing my voice during stressful situations so that you will be able to receive my guidance when crisis comes. Most importantly, remember that I am always with you. In every storm, in every disaster, in every moment of chaos, I am present with you. You are never alone. You are never abandoned. You are never without hope, because I am your constant companion and your eternal protector. My precious child, as we come to the end of this divine revelation, I want you to feel the weight of what has been placed in your hands tonight. You now possess heaven's emergency manual for supernatural protection. You have been given divine strategies that have the power to transform you from a victim of circumstances into a master of your environment through my power working in you. Let me remind you of the 7 divine principles that will be your foundation of protection. Divine positioning that places you in the secret place of the Most High. Spoken faith that creates spiritual force fields around your life. Supernatural awareness that warns you before danger arrives. Divine connections that multiply your protection through relationships. Supernatural supply that provides for every need. Divine refuge that shelters you in my presence. And divine mission that transforms crisis into opportunity. Remember the 7 practical steps I have given you. Create your protection declaration and speak it daily. Establish your early warning system through prayer and spiritual sensitivity. Build your connection network of mutual support. Develop your provision strategy through faith-based preparation. Practice your refuge techniques until they become automatic. Activate your mission mindset by serving others and establish your communication system for staying connected to me and your support network. But beyond all the strategies and steps, I want you to remember this one truth. You aren't facing the future alone. I am with you in every storm, every disaster, every moment of chaos. I am your refuge, your strength, your very present help in trouble. When the floods rise, I will be your high ground. When the fires spread, I will be your firewall. When the earth shakes, I will be your solid foundation. When the storms rage, I will be your peace in the midst of the chaos. You are not a victim of circumstances. You are a child of the Most High God. You are not at the mercy of natural disasters. You are under the protection of supernatural power. You are not helpless in the face of crisis. You are equipped with divine authority that can speak to storms and see them obey. I see your future, and I see victory. I see you walking through every crisis with faith instead of fear, with peace instead of panic, with power instead of powerlessness. I see you becoming a beacon of hope for others who are afraid, a demonstration of my protection for those who doubt, a testimony of my faithfulness for generations to come. The disasters that others fear will become your opportunities to demonstrate my power. The crises that cause others to panic will become your platforms to share my peace. The storms that make others question my existence will become your stages to display my presence. You are entering a season where the supernatural will become natural in your life, where divine protection will be as real as the air you breathe, where my presence will be as tangible as the ground beneath your feet, where my provision will be as reliable as the sunrise. But remember, this protection is not just for you. It is for your family, your friends, your community, and everyone whose life you will touch. You are not just being protected. You are being positioned to be a protector. You are not just being provided for. You are being positioned to be a provider. You are not just being saved. You are being positioned to be a savior in the lives of others. Tonight, before you sleep, I want you to speak your protection declaration over your family. Tomorrow morning, I want you to begin your divine intelligence briefing. This week, I want you to reach out to the people who will become your connection network. This month, I want you to complete your provision strategy. This season, I want you to practice your refuge techniques until they become second nature. Most importantly, I want you to live each day with the confidence that comes from knowing you are supernaturally protected by the Creator of the universe. Walk with your head high, your heart at peace, and your spirit full of faith. You are not just surviving these times, you are thriving in these times. Come back tomorrow, my beloved child. I will have another message for your heart, another revelation for your spirit, another strategy for your victory. Until then, remember this: you are loved beyond measure, protected beyond understanding, and destined for victory beyond imagination. I am with you always, even to the end of the age. I love you with an everlasting love, and my faithfulness endures forever.